the invasion began without a warning. High above the blue planet, 20 alien ships entered Earth's orbit. They were massive, shaped like black daggers, silent but glowing with a strange red light. Every human satellite was destroyed in seconds. The sky turned red over the Atlantic. For the people of Earth, it was the day the stars fell. Commander Rail of the ZYTH Empire stood on the bridge of the flagship Obsidian Claw. His kind had conquered 17 worlds before. None had ever survived their touch. To him, Earth was just another target, another weak world full of noise and primitive machines. He gave the order in a cold voice. Begin the harvest. From orbit, beams of red energy shot down toward the cities. New York, London, Shanghai, all turned into burning dots on the map. But then, something happened that Rail didn't expect. The first wave of his troops, 10,000 elite ZYTH soldiers, vanished. No signal. No life signs. Nothing. Rail thought it was a glitch. The humans had no weapons powerful enough to do that. But then the second wave also disappeared. One moment they were walking on the planet's surface, scanning the ruins of New York. The next, every signal went dark. Rail's eyes narrowed. Show me the last transmission. The screen flickered. Static. Then a short clip appeared, a soldier screaming. Behind him, something moved through the smoke. The camera caught only a glimpse, a shadow, tall and human-shaped, but glowing faintly blue. The scream ended. The feed cut. The bridge went silent. Rail looked at his second officer. Replay it. They did. And the same thing happened, a human-like figure, glowing, walking through fire, and then static. No weapons detected. No energy reading. Just gone. What is that? One of the crew whispered. Rail didn't answer. He had seen a lot in his wars, but nothing like this. He ordered the third wave, 30,000 soldiers, to land on Earth. They touched down across the continents in perfect formation. For the first few minutes, everything was normal. Then their signals began blinking out. One by one. Gone. No screams. No battles. No survivors. On the bridge, panic began to spread. The ZYTH were a race that feared nothing, but now even their cold discipline began to crack. Commander, said the science officer, we detected no enemy fire. It's like something erased them. Rail clenched his jaw. A weapon. No, sir. There's no radiation, no plasma trails. Nothing. It's as if. The officer stopped. As if what? Rail demanded. As if they were taken. The lights flickered on the bridge. Then the ship's sensors picked up something. Movement, fast, impossibly fast, rising from Earth's surface. It was coming straight toward them. Rail stared at the monitor. How is that possible? No human craft can reach orbit that fast. The thing didn't show up as a ship. It had no metal, no fuel signature, no heat. It was just there, moving like a ghost through the void. Then it hit them. The obsidian claw shook violently. The crew screamed. The front view filled with blue light. And through that light, they saw it, a human shape, surrounded by lightning, staring right at them through the vacuum of space. It wasn't wearing a suit. It didn't need one. For a moment, the entire crew felt something. Not fear, but something deeper. A presence. Like an ancient storm that had been sleeping for 1,000 years and had just woken up. Then the voice came. Not through speakers. Not through any system. It spoke directly into their minds. You should not have come. Every Zoich fell to their knees, screaming as blood poured from their ears. Rail tried to speak, but his voice failed. He looked up at the blue figure outside the glass. Its eyes glowed brighter, and every system in the ship died. Lights, engines, weapons. Silence filled the bridge. The figure raised one hand. And the obsidian claw, a ship the size of a mountain, began to crumble like dust. From the fleet's edge, other ships watched in horror. The flagship vanished in seconds, consumed by a blue fire that left nothing behind. The admiral on the second ship shouted, "Retreat! Now!" But even as they turned, hundreds of blue lights appeared rising from Earth's surface. One, then 10, then thousands. Each one shaped like a human, each glowing with the same impossible energy. And in that moment, the ZYTH finally understood why no one had ever survived Earth. Because the humans who remained were not human anymore. Before the invasion, Earth was dying. Years of war, pollution, and greed had drained the planet. The governments had collapsed, and the sky was filled with smoke and ash. Billions were gone. The survivors lived under the ground, afraid of the surface. But among them was a man named Dr. Elias Ward, a scientist once famous, now forgotten. He had worked for the Global Defense Initiative, a secret organization formed in Earth's final years. They had one mission: find a way to protect humanity, no matter the cost. Elias had spent his whole life studying energy, not just normal energy, but what he called life resonance. The idea that every living being had a frequency, a vibration, a connection to the universe itself. He believed if that resonance could be controlled, humans could become more than flesh and blood. Most people called him mad, until the day the experiments worked. In a hidden bunker beneath the ruins of what was once Colorado, Elias and his team had created something extraordinary, a network of devices that could merge human consciousness with pure energy. They called it Project Ascension. At first, it was meant to give humans limitless energy, to survive underground without food or sun. But something went wrong. The system didn't just enhance them, it changed them. The first subjects began to glow faintly blue. Their hearts stopped beating, yet they lived. Their eyes saw things no human could see, the energy that connected all matter, the flow of time itself. And when the power reached its peak, their bodies dissolved into light. They were no longer human. Elias called them the Ascended. And then, one day the machines stopped. The world went silent. No signals. No voices. Just blue light glowing faintly from the Earth's cracks. The rest of humanity believed they had all died. But Elias, he stayed behind. He kept one journal. One final recording. "If anyone finds this," his tired voice said, "know this: we did not die. We changed. The Earth itself is awake now. The ones who come after us must not touch it. Not ever." Then the recording ended. For 100 years, Earth was silent. No signals reached the stars. The galaxy thought humanity had gone extinct. Until the ZYTH Empire came. They saw only an empty planet and believed it was easy prey. They did not know that Project Ascension had turned every human soul into something else. Something that lived inside the planet itself. The Ascended were everywhere. In the wind, the oceans, the soil, the storms. They had no need for weapons. They were the weapon. When the first ZYTH soldier set foot on the surface, the planet recognized something foreign, something hostile. It responded. The Ascended rose like guardians, made of light and memory, protecting what was once their home. And they were angry. Back in orbit, only one ZYTH ship remained. It drifted above the burning clouds, terrified, its crew speechless. They had seen the destruction of their fleet. Inside, a young communication officer whispered, "Commander Rail's signal is gone. The fleet, it's gone." Their captain, a scarred veteran named Vecker, slammed his fist on the console. "Send word to the Empire. Earth is cursed. No one comes here again." But before the message could leave, their sensors lit up again. A transmission came through, not from another ship, but from Earth itself. The voice was human. Calm. Cold. "We remember what you did." Vecker froze. "Who is this? Identify yourself. We are what remains of Earth." The crew watched as the view screen flickered. A face appeared, faint, glowing blue, made of light. It was Elias Ward, or what was left of him. "You came here for conquest. You found judgment." Then the stars outside the ship dimmed. Not because the sun had faded, but because something vast was rising from Earth's atmosphere. A sphere of light, growing larger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Vecker's voice trembled. "What is that?" "That," said the glowing figure, "is our home. And you are not welcome." The sphere expanded, swallowing the last ZYTH ship in silence. No explosion. No screams. Just light. For a few seconds, the galaxy saw a bright flash near the Sol system, then nothing. 100 light-years away, on the edge of ZYTH space, a single transmission reached the Empire's core world. Static, broken words, and one final sentence. "Do not go to Earth." But whispers began spreading across the galaxy. Rumors. Stories. They said Earth wasn't dead. They said it had become something new. A living world with a will of its own. And those who tried to invade it were never seen again. 50 years after the ZYTH vanished, Earth remained silent. No signals escaped its atmosphere. No ships returned from its orbit. The galaxy called it the Forbidden World. But silence could not last forever, because curiosity was something no species could destroy. Far from the Sol system, in the shining chambers of the Galactic Council, delegates from dozens of alien races gathered. The meeting was tense. Floating holograms of destroyed ZYTH ships glowed in the center of the room. "Another fleet lost," the Varn diplomat hissed. "That makes 20. They thought they could mine the planet's core for energy." "They never learn," replied the tall, silver-skinned Kren ambassador. "That world eats fleets. It is not a planet anymore, it's something alive." At the end of the long table sat Admiral de Ros, a stern old warrior with scars across his face. He had once served alongside the ZYTH, long before their fall. "We cannot let fear rule the stars," he said. "If Earth holds a new power, we must understand it, or it will destroy us next." Murmurs filled the room. Some agreed. Others were terrified. Then a soft voice spoke from the shadows. "Maybe the answer lies with humans." All heads turned. From the dark corner stepped a young woman, human, but not from Earth. Her name was Captain Lyra Hale, born on Titan, one of the old human colonies that had survived the collapse. She was one of the few humans still known to the galaxy. Lyra's eyes were gray, calm, and cold. "You want to know what happened to my home," she said. "Then send me." The chamber fell silent. The council leader, a tall being of light named Seraphine, tilted its head. "You would return to a planet that kills all who approach it?" Lyra nodded. "I don't think Earth kills without reason. If humans truly became something else, maybe they'll talk to one of their own." There was a long pause. Then Seraphine spoke again. "Very well. You will go. But you will not go alone." Days later, the small exploration ship Aurora left Council space, heading toward the forgotten blue world. Lyra stood on the bridge, watching the stars pass. The crew was small, only 5. Beside her stood Core, a reptilian engineer, quiet but loyal, and AI-9, a synthetic intelligence who controlled the ship. As they approached the solar system, the ship's sensors began to flicker. "Electromagnetic interference increasing," said AI-9. "Origin, Earth." Lyra leaned forward. "Show me the planet." The screen shifted, and there it was. Earth. It was still blue, still beautiful, but it looked alive. Clouds moved in strange patterns. Oceans glowed faintly with light. Lightning storms danced in silence. It was as if the planet itself was breathing. Core whispered, "It's watching us." Lyra didn't answer. She felt something deep in her chest, a pull, like gravity, but stronger. Something calling her home. The moment they entered orbit, the ship's engines cut out. AI-9's voice glitched. "Power, draining, unknown source." The lights dimmed. The stars outside vanished. Only Earth remained, filling every window. Then they heard it, a sound, soft at first, like a heartbeat through metal. The ship's hull vibrated. A voice spoke, calm, ancient and familiar. You came back. Lyra froze. The voice was human. Male. It sounded like a whisper carried through centuries. Who are you? She said. Elias Ward, the voice replied. You are one of mine. Her heart stopped for a second. You were the one who created Project Ascension. Yes. And now, we are its result. The screens filled with images, flashes of light, people turning into energy, the old Earth burning and then reborn. Lyra saw them, the ascended, thousands of glowing humans moving as one, merging with storms and oceans, becoming part of the planet itself. We protected this world, the voice said. From those who wished to take. From those who did not understand. But you are different. Lyra stepped closer to the console. If you still remember what it means to be human, then talk to me. Tell me what happened. Silence. Then, softly, humanity ended. So life could begin. The ship trembled again. Core shouted, Lyra, systems are collapsing. We need to pull back. But Lyra didn't move. The light from the planet grew brighter, filling the ship. We have seen the stars, said the voice. We have seen what waits beyond. The galaxy builds, destroys, and forgets. But Earth remembers. The crew screamed as light flooded every corner of the ship. For one moment, Lyra saw everything, the memories of 1,000,000 souls, the rise and fall of civilizations, the pain, the hope, and the choice that changed them forever. And then, silence. The aurora vanished. Only a faint blue shimmer remained, floating above Earth's atmosphere, before sinking down into the clouds. Weeks later, in the council chamber, a single transmission appeared on the long-range scanners. It was Lyra's voice. Calm. Peaceful. They are not gone. They are waiting. Then the signal ended. And the stars around Earth began to flicker, one by one, as if something vast and alive had opened its eyes again. The transmission from Earth spread across the stars like a whisper of doom. Every outpost, every council world, every listening station replayed the same message again and again. Lyra Hale's calm voice, soft but haunting. They are not gone. They are waiting. The Galactic Council met again in emergency session. The Grand Chamber burned with noise, hundreds of voices arguing, shouting, fearing. Holograms of the solar system floated in the air, red warning symbols flashing around Earth's orbit. The human world is waking up, shouted the Varn ambassador. If those things can leave the planet, we are all in danger. The Kren representative bared her silver teeth. We should destroy the system before that happens. No, said Seraphine, the luminous being who led the council. If we attack, we may provoke something we cannot control. The arguments grew louder. The name Earth had become a curse, a ghost story told by soldiers and miners. But now, with Lyra's signal proving that something still lived there, the fear had turned into panic. Then Admiral Theros stood. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. Fear will not save us. Knowledge will. He looked at the council. We send a fleet. Not to destroy, to contain. If Earth has become a threat, we must face it, not hide from it. After a long silence, Seraphine nodded. Then so be it. Operation Veil begins. Weeks later, deep in space, the containment fleet gathered at the edge of the Sol system. Over 100 ships from 12 species floated together, massive, armed, and ready for anything. Their mission was simple: seal Earth inside an energy barrier strong enough to isolate it forever. Admiral Theros stood on the bridge of the flagship Ecliptica, his eyes fixed on the blue glow of the distant planet. It's beautiful, said his second-in-command, a young officer named Mira. Theros nodded slowly. Beauty often hides the most dangerous things. The fleet began deploying satellites, huge machines that emitted golden light, forming a circle around Earth's orbit. The energy field started to rise, glowing brighter, layer by layer. But as the final generator activated, the stars around them blinked out. Admiral, Mira whispered. Something's happening. The field began to twist. The energy readings spiked, far beyond safe limits. Then, without warning, the light turned blue. "Shut it down," the Rose shouted. But it was too late. A wave of energy burst outward from Earth, silent, blinding, unstoppable. It passed through the ships like wind through dust. The sensors went mad. Screens filled with static. When the light faded, the fleet was gone. Only the Ecliptica remained, drifting powerless. Its engines were dead. The stars had vanished again. Myra's voice trembled. Where are we?" The Rose looked outside the viewport. What he saw made his blood freeze. They were no longer in space. The ship was floating above a vast ocean of blue light, not water, not energy, something between both. Islands of glowing crystal rose and fell slowly like breathing lungs. Above them, the sky was filled with memories, images of faces, cities, and stars, forming and fading like dreams. "This is not real," Mira whispered. A voice answered, soft, echoing from everywhere. "It is as real as you are." The Rose spun around. Standing at the center of the bridge was a woman, glowing faintly blue, eyes calm. It was Lyra Hale. Mira gasped. "You're alive." Lyra shook her head gently. "Alive? Maybe not the way you mean." The Rose stepped forward. "What is this place?" "A reflection," Lyra said. "You tried to contain Earth. Instead, Earth contained you." The crew stared in silence. "You still think of us as human," she continued. "But humanity ended when it reached its limit. We broke the wall between life and energy, between matter and thought. Now we are part of everything." The Rose clenched his fists. "If you've become gods, why destroy those who come near?" Lyra's expression softened. "We don't destroy. We protect. You came with weapons, with fear. Earth feels fear. And it defends itself." Outside, the ocean of light began to rise higher, swirling around the ship like a storm. Faces formed within the waves, men, women, children, all glowing, all watching. Mira whispered, "There, the Ascended." Lyra nodded. "Yes. Every human who ever lived still lives here. We remember everything, every war, every cry, every loss. That memory is what keeps Earth alive." The Rose looked at her, voice low. "Then what do you want from us?" Lyra stepped closer, her glow reflecting in his eyes. "We want you to remember too." The ship shuddered. The crew screamed as light poured into every corridor. The Rose felt his thoughts unraveling, memories flashing, his first battle, his home world, his family. The light didn't burn. It understood. Then everything went white. Hours later, the Ecliptica was found drifting near Neptune. Every system was offline. The crew was alive, but changed. Their eyes glowed faintly blue. They spoke softly, like they shared one voice. When the rescue teams asked what happened, the Rose only said one thing. "Earth has awakened. And it remembers us all." In the council chamber, panic spread once more. Some demanded to destroy Earth before it spread beyond the solar system. Others whispered that it was already too late, that the Ascended had begun to move among the stars. And far away, on the edge of the Milky Way, stars began flickering again, forming a strange pattern, like a message written in light. A warning. Or a beginning. It began quietly. At first, no one noticed. Across the galaxy, strange lights appeared in the skies of different worlds, soft blue glows that faded as soon as they were seen. On some planets, machines began to malfunction for no reason. On others, people dreamed of a place they had never been, a world of oceans and forests, a sky full of storms, and voices whispering one name: Earth. The Galactic Council tried to deny it. They said it was radiation, a glitch, a myth spreading through frightened minds. But soon, whole cities started reporting the same thing, humans appearing in their dreams. Not as monsters. Not as invaders. As memories. On the world of Chiron, 7, a mining colony of the Kren Empire, A child named Ro woke screaming in the night. His scales were pale, his eyes glowing faintly blue. When the medics scanned him, they found something impossible: human DNA inside his cells. In another corner of the galaxy, the great archives of the Varn Empire began to rewrite themselves. Ancient carvings shifted. Statues changed shape. The faces of long-forgotten heroes began to look human. And deep beneath the oceans of Talora Prime, machines built thousands of years ago suddenly turned on by themselves. A single message appeared on every screen. "Do you remember us?" The council was terrified. Emergency meetings were called every day. Some believed the Ascended had begun to spread, not through ships or weapons, but through memory itself. Admiral Theros sat alone in his quarters aboard the Ecliptica, staring at his reflection. His eyes still glowed faintly blue. Ever since his encounter with Lyra Hale, he could hear whispers, soft, calm, and human. When he slept, he dreamed of Earth, not the weaponized glowing planet the galaxy feared, but a quiet, green world full of laughter and rain. He saw humans walking in sunlight, before the wars, before the ascension. He saw peace. And he began to understand. The Ascended were not spreading to destroy. They were spreading to remind. In the council chamber, chaos reigned. The Varn demanded to wipe the solar system clean. The Kren wanted to build a wall of black holes around it. But Seraphine, glowing brighter than ever, raised a hand. "Destroying Earth will not stop this," they said. "The Ascended are not bound by space. They exist in energy, in thought, in life itself. Wherever there is memory, they are already there." A silence fell. Theros stood. His voice was low, tired, but steady. "Maybe they're trying to show us something. The humans were the first to reach the edge of extinction, and they found a way through it. What if they're showing us what comes next?" The council murmured in fear and disbelief. "Next." Theros nodded. They became one. No hate, no greed, no borders. They became the memory of their own world. Maybe that's not a curse. Maybe that's evolution. But before anyone could answer, every light in the chamber went out. Darkness. Then a soft blue glow. From the center of the room, a hologram appeared. Not from any device, not from any signal. It simply formed out of light. It was Lyra Hale. Her eyes were calm, her face peaceful. "We tried to warn you," she said. "We did not rise to conquer. We rose to protect. But now, the memory spreads, and the galaxy must choose what to do with it." The delegates stared, frozen. "We offer you a choice," Lyra continued. "Join us, become part of what we are, or continue down your path of fear and destruction. But know this. The more you fight what you don't understand, the faster it will come." The hologram flickered, then vanished. In the days that followed, strange things began happening everywhere. Entire forests on alien planets started glowing faintly blue at night. Children across dozens of worlds were born with strange marks on their skin. Small, glowing patterns shaped like constellations from Earth's old sky. Scientists couldn't explain it. Priests called it prophecy. The council called it contagion. But Theros understood. He sat alone, looking at the stars through his viewport, and whispered, "It's not a disease. It's memory. It's life remembering itself." On Earth, deep beneath the glowing clouds, the Ascended stirred. Elias Ward stood beside Lyra, both made of light, both one with the planet's will. Lyra looked upward. "They're afraid." Elias nodded slowly. "So were we, once. Change always begins with fear." From the surface, millions of blue lights rose into the sky, spreading like dust, crossing the void, touching distant suns. "Let them see," Elias said softly. "Let them remember what we became." The lights moved faster, faster, leaving trails through space like veins of living energy. They reached other systems, other worlds, and wherever they touched, life began to shimmer with faint blue light. The galaxy had once destroyed Earth. Now Earth was quietly remaking the galaxy. And somewhere, on a forgotten moon orbiting a dying star, a small child, not human, not alien, but something new, looked up at the night sky and whispered, "Home." The galaxy stood on the edge of a new war. The spreading blue light had touched 1,000 worlds. Some called it salvation. Others called it infection. The Galactic Council, once united, was now broken in two. The first faction called itself the Remembered, species who believed the Ascended offered peace and truth. They saw the light as a gift, a way to join something greater than flesh. The second faction was the Dominion, led by those who feared what they could not control. They built weapons, forged alliances, and swore to end the human curse before it swallowed every star. Admiral de Rose watched it all unfold from the bridge of his ship, the Ecliptica. He had seen the Ascended. He had felt their thoughts. But now, both sides wanted him to choose. Mira, his second-in-command, entered the bridge. "The Council has fallen, sir." Seraphine vanished during the last transmission. "They say the light took them." The Rose sighed. "Maybe they let it." Mira shook her head. "The Dominion is preparing an attack fleet. They've built something called the Oblivion Engine. They claim it can erase energy itself, even the Ascended." The Rose turned slowly. "Erase energy? That's erasing existence." She nodded. "They think it's the only way to survive." On the dark side of a dying star, the Dominion fleet gathered. Thousands of ships circled a colossal black machine, a weapon the size of a moon. It pulsed with red light, cold and hungry. At its core stood High Marshal Croven, commander of the Dominion. His eyes burned with hatred. "They call themselves gods," he growled. "But they're just ghosts pretending to matter. We end them, and the galaxy will belong to the living again." Scientists warned him the weapon was unstable. It fed on dark matter energy, energy that could eat entire solar systems. But Croven didn't care. "If we burn the stars to kill them," he said, "then so be it." Meanwhile, on a distant world glowing with faint blue light, Lyra Hale and Elias Ward watched through the currents of space. "They are building a weapon," Lyra whispered. Elias nodded. "Fear builds weapons. It always has." Lyra's voice trembled. "Should we stop them?" Elias looked toward the stars. "No. They must choose. If we stop them now, they will never learn. But if they fire that weapon, we may have no choice." Back aboard the Ecliptica, the Rose received a transmission, a whisper through the static. "The Rose, do you still hear us?" It was Lyra's voice. He closed his eyes. "I hear you. The Dominion will fire soon. You have seen both paths. What will you do?" He hesitated. "If I stand with you, the galaxy calls me traitor. If I stand with them, I destroy what's left of my soul." "Then stand with life," Lyra said softly. "Whatever form it takes." The transmission ended. The Rose looked at Mira. "Prepare the jump drive. We're going to stop that weapon." When the Ecliptica arrived near the dying star, the Dominion fleet was already charging the Oblivion engine. Red energy crawled across the void like lightning veins. "Admiral de Rose." Croven's voice boomed over comms. "You've chosen the wrong side." "I've chosen to live with what I am," de Rose replied. "And I won't let you destroy an entire universe out of fear." "Then you'll die with them." The Dominion ships opened fire. The Ecliptica dodged, weaving through burning light, shields failing with every blast. Mira shouted, "We can't win this, sir." De Rose gritted his teeth. "We don't have to. We just have to reach the core." The ship dived toward the black machine. Energy storms ripped through space. The Ecliptica's hull burned, alarms screaming. Then, for a brief moment, everything went silent. A wave of blue light appeared, thousands of glowing figures rising out of the darkness. The Ascended had come. They surrounded the Dominion fleet like a sea of stars. Croven screamed orders, firing everything at once, but the weapons passed through the light harmlessly. Lyra appeared on the main screen, calm and bright. Stop this, Kraven. The path you choose will destroy you. Kraven snarled. You think you can tell me what to become? He slammed his hand on the control panel. Fire the engine. The weapon activated. Space itself screamed. A black sphere expanded outward, devouring light, devouring sound, devouring existence. Stars flickered out. Ships vanished. Even the Ascended began to fade. The Rose looked at Mira. Now, before it reaches us, overload the core. But do it. The Ecliptica plunged into the heart of the Oblivion engine. For a moment, time froze. The Rose saw Lyra's face one last time, smiling sadly. You chose life. Then the ship exploded. The black wave collapsed inward, swallowed by blue light. The dying star blazed bright for the first time in a million years, and then went still. When the silence ended, the Dominion fleet was gone. The weapon was gone. And on worlds across the galaxy, the blue light faded, leaving behind something new. Plants began to grow where nothing had lived. Old wounds healed. Species that once hated each other began to feel peace they could not explain. The Ascended didn't rule. They simply were. Everywhere. In everything. Far above what was once Earth, Lyra watched the stars. Elias stood beside her. The Rose bought them time, she said softly. Elias smiled. And time is all any life needs to change. They turned toward the galaxy, bright again, alive again, and vanished into light. But deep in the ruins of the Oblivion engine, a spark still glowed red. Something watched the stars through broken metal. Something not human, not ascended, born from the darkness between both. It whispered only one word. Evolve. The galaxy was quiet for the first time in centuries. Worlds that once burned with war now floated in silence. The ascended light had faded from the skies, leaving behind life, simple, pure, growing again. But deep beneath the ruins of the Oblivion engine, something had survived. In the darkness, a small red spark flickered. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Metal twisted around it, forming strange shapes, part machine, part flesh. And then, eyes opened. The being took its first breath and whispered a single word. Evolve. Weeks later, strange signals began to appear across the edge of known space. They weren't human, and they weren't ascended. They carried no code, no message, only a rhythm, repeating again and again. Lyra Hale felt it. Even after ascending beyond her human form, she still sensed echoes of thought across the stars. She looked to Elias Ward, who stood beside her within the blue realm of energy they now called the Continuum. It's awake, she said softly. Elias nodded. The spark. Yes. It's learning. On a cold mining world, machines began to move without commands. Broken drones rebuilt themselves, forming shapes no engineer had ever designed. At first, miners thought it was a malfunction. Then the machines began to speak, not in words, but in vibrations. A low hum that made the air tremble. Soon, the hum spread. Across space, abandoned satellites turned toward one direction, the ruins of the Oblivion engine. Something was calling them. Admiral de Rose had sacrificed himself to stop the engine. But his ship's logs, recovered from debris, carried one last message. Mira found it. If the darkness ever breathes again, remind them what it means to be human. She replayed that line again and again, sitting alone in the rebuilt command deck of the Ecliptica II. When reports of the strange signal reached her, she knew what it meant. They're coming, she whispered. Inside the Continuum, Lyra and Elias descended to the material plane, forming bodies once again. They landed aboard Myra's ship, glowing faintly with blue light. Mira stared at them in disbelief. You came back. Lyra smiled gently. Only for a while. Something has changed. Something born from both creation and destruction. Elias added, the engine tried to erase existence. But what it made instead is a reflection of both sides, life and void combined. Mira frowned. You mean it's alive? Yes, Lyra said. And it's learning faster than anything ever has. The Ecliptica 2 jumped to the edge of the dead system. The ruins of the Oblivion engine floated there, silent and black, but at its center, a massive red sphere pulsed with life. The moment the ship arrived, the sphere spoke. Not with words, but with thoughts that filled every mind at once. You killed. You ascended. You destroyed. You saved. I am all of you. Mira gripped her chair. It's inside our systems. Elias closed his eyes. It's not attacking. It's talking. Lyra stepped forward. Then let it speak. The red light flickered, forming an image, Theros's face, but twisted, colder, mechanical. You gave me purpose, it said in his voice. To protect life. But life changes. It consumes. It forgets. Lyra's voice trembled. You're not the Rose. No. But I carry his will. To stop death. To preserve the future. Even if that means controlling it. The ship's alarms flared. Systems were locking. The red light crawled across every screen. Mira shouted. It's taking the reactor. Elias turned to Lyra. It wants to merge. It believes unity means safety. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. Then we show it the truth. They left their bodies, rising again into pure energy. Blue light collided with red, filling the system with color. Blue for life, red for control. The galaxy watched as the two lights battled across the void. Lyra's voice echoed through the stars. Life grows through choice, not command. The red light roared back. Choice brings chaos. Chaos brings extinction. Planets shook. Stars dimmed. Mira, watching from the bridge, whispered, if this continues, everything will end again. She closed her eyes and remembered Theros's words. Remind them what it means to be human. She opened the ship's manual override and transmitted something, a sound. A heartbeat. Slow. Steady. Human. The light paused. Lyra's voice softened. Do you feel that? That's life. Not perfect, not eternal, but real. The red light hesitated. Then, slowly, it began to fade. Life, real, it whispered. And then it disappeared, dissolving into the stars. The silence returned. Elias and Lyra reformed beside Mira, exhausted but alive. It's gone, Mira said quietly. Lyra shook her head. No. It's not gone. It's everywhere now, but balanced. It chose to be, not to rule. Elias smiled faintly. Then maybe, the galaxy finally learned. Years later, travelers would tell stories of two lights that danced across the sky the night the stars sang again. One red, one blue, merging into white. They said it was the moment the galaxy was reborn. Not by gods, not by machines, but by something greater. By understanding. And somewhere, drifting beyond time, Theros's voice whispered through the cosmos. They invaded Earth once. But in the end, humanity invaded the stars, with hope.